Yo everybody, we are back from the break, and man, Kamen Rider GAVV is coming back with a banger. It's coming back with some heat, huge revelations in this episode, huge reveals in this episode. Oh man, everybody meeting everybody met Uncle Dente in this episode, which was awesome. Everybody met Uncle Dente. We also see that Uncle Dente is also like, he's also able to replicate the belt, the driver that Neelif was able to build. He even said that, hey, if Neelif can build it, I can build it. Like, dude is using my research and everything that he learned. He got all that from me. So, you know, I'm the real master here. It's like, it was awesome, man. Everybody got to see the dark gochizos, the dark chocolate gochizo that Hanto was using. We got to see freaking Sachika activate Ultra Instinct for some freaking reason. It was out of nowhere, but it was also kind of dope. Maybe that's foreshadowing something, I don't know. But also yeah, we got to see Ram in this episode as well. Like yeah, got to see Ram in this episode. He was chilling at a playground. I guess maybe he was doing a job for Sachika or something like that. It was just a random place he was. That was so weird. But then we saw the big reveal of like how last episode ended with Hanto seeing that he saw two bitter GAVVs, and he saw Suga talking to both of them, and him also shooting down that they were calling him dad and stuff. He's like, yeah, he's like, I'm not your dad, okay? They just call him master. And I feel kind of bad for them because they look sad when he said that. They look sad. I was like, come on, man. You made them in a horrible way, but you still made them. It's like, yo, it felt kind of weird. And also we see that they were able to create their own new gochizo, just like how Yoshoma can. And we see this gochizo in action in this episode. Yeah, we see that they ended up taking Hanto back to, well, Sachika and Shoma end up taking Hanto back to Dente. Dente ends up fixing him up and telling him that, yeah, those new gochiso that you were using were kind of hurting you. Like, they were kind of like, yeah, they were making you stronger and whatnot, but they were also putting a massive strain on your body and stuff like that. Now Hanto was like, he was like weirded out to see Dente. He was like, what are you doing? You're a Gnu. Oh my god. He's like, oh man, hey, I'm you. He's like, oh, I'm sorry for what I'm sorry you helped me, I'm sorry, and stuff like that. And he's like, hey, he's like, all right, man, cool, you know, I'm used to that kind of reaction, you know, I'm Shoma's grand uncle. And even when Sachika even met him, she was like, that's your grand uncle? She was like, yeah, does he scare you? And she was like, honestly, yeah, but I'll be all right. Like, I love Sachika, bro. She just, that's the homie. But in this episode, we do see that Shoma does go and confront Suga. He leaves Hanto in Dente's care, and he goes and confronts Suga about what he did. And he was like, yeah, he's like, I wanted to keep making Suga, because Suga did tell Hanto, he was like, yeah, you know, me and you had a common goal, man. Like, I wanted to keep making you stronger. You wanted to eradicate the Grenoots, and I wanted to make humans strong enough to, you know, fight back the Grenoots. So like, me and you are kind of like, we got the same thing going here. But like, Suga's that scientist to where he doesn't see life, like he sees life as like, because we get the reveal later on in the episode of how he kind of like views, kind of from the way he talks, you can kind of deduce of like how he views like people. And you know, he puts his research above everything. It doesn't matter who he hurts, it doesn't matter who he uses, it doesn't matter what he has to do. He is putting his research and his science and the things that he wants to do above everything else. Like human life, or like life and whatever, like doesn't really matter to him, right? So we get the reveal that like, yeah, like Suga, he was only making Hanto stronger as a test subject. He was testing his stuff on Hanto, so eventually he could possibly use this stuff for himself. We even remember when we saw that in the older episode where he first met Suga. You know, Suga was talking about, maybe I could go out there and fight, you know, eventually and stuff, right? So we kind of don't. Oh, that's my phone. We kind of don't know what his overall, like, what Suga's overall, like, real plan is. Like, I guess he wants to fight back the Grenoots, but he's willing to do anything possible to do that. But it's still weird because he's still doing everything in kind of like a messed up way. We do see that when they go to rescue, sort of kind of like meet up, he tells Suga that he ends up capturing Shoma, and they end up meeting. He ends up calling him up and saying, hey, come meet me at this underground parking lot. And, I'll give you your boy back, but there's something I want to show you. And stuff like that. So Dente basically tells him like, hey man, like, you need to rest. Your body needs to slowly recover from using these like dark chocolate gochizo. And they end up taking that dark gochizo and like capturing it and putting it, like Sachika puts it in a jar and stuff, because that gochizo won't tell them anything that's going on. Like, it's not it's not Shoma's gochizo. So like that gochizo is like not messing with him at all, because if it was a regular gochizo, they tell him everything. But this gochizo is like, you ain't getting nothing out of me. He even tries to use it on his phone thing, because he can put the gochizo on his phone and he can see everything that they've seen or know information that they know, and still can't get nothing out of it. So they just put the little guy in a jar for later, and maybe they can use him for something else later. I don't know. But Hanto does not want to use the gochizo that given to him by Shoma and stuff. And Sachika does tell him that like, hey, it's a lot of like, Shoma has been going through a lot of mental stuff, and the only thing he can eat is ice cream and things like that. And then like Hanto, he's the flashbacks of like, yeah, like the way everything that's been going on and the way I've been treating him and stuff like that. And like, I literally punched dude in the face, like the stuff that he's been going through. Somewhat like, some of it is like my fault. I put a lot of stress on him, so I gotta help him. I gotta do this. So they ended up leaving to go and get Shoma, from Suga, and that's when we get the whole reveal of that he ends up giving up Shoma pretty easily. Like, he's there with Bitter Gab. Bitter Gab is already transformed and everything like that. One of the Bitter Gabs is already there, and he baits Shoma into like fighting him. He wants Shoma to fight him, in a way, but Shoma's like still really weak right now. His mental stuff he's still got a lot going on, and he goes into his base form. Like, he's in his base form in this episode, and that's when we get the reveal that Suga is a Kamen Rider now. He transforms into Kamen Rider Bake, and his transformation sequence is kind of cool. He kind of basically uses an upgraded version of Hanto's driver. It's still like a gun and stuff, but he basically uses like an upgraded like version of it, because even when you look at Hanto's like driver, or his blaster and stuff, it does look like something that would be a prototype. It looks a little naked and stuff like that. It looks like a prototype of something, and we see that the full thing is here with Suga. He transforms, and he kind of looks like, he basically just looks like he transforms into Kamen Rider Bake. He's brown. He's two different colors of brown, and but his suit does look cool. I mean, he kind of just looks like his helmet kind of looks like Bitter Gab's, stuff like that. He kind of just looks like another form of Bitter Gab, but he's a lot stronger. He straight up just uses his blaster. He baits Shoma into fighting him, and he's beating the crap out of Shoma, because Shoma's really weak at this point, and Shoma's kind of like holding back because he's a human. And Suga figures that out, and Suga's like, oh, you don't want to fight me because I'm a human, huh? Like, you've been walking around this, but you're a Grenu, and you've been walking around this planet, you've been walking around this world protecting humans and stuff, and you never came to the conclusion that I could be like a bad guy, or I could be like evil or whatever. And that's when we get all these reveals of like, because he's beating the crap out of Shoma. Shoma's barely fighting back, and he wants to know what Suga's like plan and stuff like that is. So Suga basically says that he did work with Neelif, and then that's when Shoma finds out that you've been working with Neelif. He's like, yeah. And he also reveals that over like 20 something years he's been like experimenting on people. I think it was 20 years. It was a lot of years, but over the years he's just been like experimenting and doing all these things with people, and basically doing the same thing he did to Hanto to like other people, and a lot of other people have like died, and though those people basically were like failed subjects and things like that, and over the years he kind of got better at it, And we find out that he used Hanto's mentor, his mentor that died while he was like, spiced up. He used his mentor to bait him out. So when his mentor, got killed and whatever, he would go to Suga so Suga could so he could get revenge and get the power and everything. And yeah, it was all his plan to get Hanto in the suit, get Hanto as a test subject, get Hanto coming back to me to come get more stuff so I could test stuff on him. That was his whole thing. And it really messed up Hanto, because it was it's your fault that my mentor is dead, because all that was you and Neela's plan. So now Shoma and freaking Hanto have a reason to hate this guy, because Shoma's you've been working with my brother to expect to do these things with people, and you also baited out Hanto's mentor, the only figure he had at the time, to do this so you can do these weird experiments so you can get me to come to you. And it was weird. But it was also this big, it was a lot in that one scene in that freaking underground parking lot, yo. But he basically tries to get, after that's over, he tries to get Bitter Gav to basically capture Hanto and bring him back with him. But then that's when Shoma ends up saving him, and they end up both getting out of there. So after they both get out of there, we see that Suga ends up turning, de-henching and stuff like that. And when he de-henchins, we see that his skin starts to sizzle, it starts to give off exhaust, and apparently his I guess his rider form is I guess it may be really hot, because his rider form may be hurting him in some sort of way, or having a toll on his body in some sort of way. So maybe he will start to do things that'll make it better so it doesn't do that. And he also, I guess he's after Hanto now, because he's I still need Hanto, I still need him. But yeah, the episode ends off there, man. And I'm wow, we knew Suga was in the background doing some sleazy stuff, and now everything has kind of come full circle. Everyone knows what's going on and things like that. I really wanted to see more of Ram in this episode, but my boy played a role, and most likely Dente, and also we know that Dente is going to create a new driver for Hanto, so he'll be able to, he could end up being more powerful. And I'm also glad that Ram is still going to stay around. I'm glad my boy is still going to stay around, because when we saw, if you have seen the scans of Hanto's new form that's coming up in the next episode, he's using the same driver that Ram uses, or Lakia uses. And by him using that, a lot of people kind of putting it together that something was going to happen to Lakia. Same driver, stuff like that. People thought it was something was going to happen to Lakia, but it's not. Turns out my boy is just getting a replica of his, of his driver. But yeah, man, so does that mean that when he gets this driver, are we gonna have a build situation where because remember how Banjo had two different drivers? He had the build driver and the splash driver, and he basically had 3 different rider forms. So is he gonna keep using the blaster when he doesn't want to use the Ram driver, or is this overall his new base? And right now I think this should be his new base form. Right now I don't think he should go back to using any other form. His base form, yes. His regular chocolate form, yes, keep that around. That has to stay around. That's the staple. But at the same time, when he wants to get really serious, he just switches to the actual driver, rider belt thing. I could see that happening. But other than that, I'm just happy that nothing's gonna happen with Ram. He's gonna continue being a rider and things like that. I'm actually very happy about that. But overall, man, this episode was dope. And I guess we're still in the Bitter Gav arc. Well, now we're in the Kamen Rider Bake arc. And now we, everybody knows, everybody knows what Suga's doing and everything. Most likely the crew is going to get together. The crew is going to get together and figure this out. And I wonder what Neeliv is gonna have to say about seeing Suga's, you know, form and things like that, and also Suga creating Bitter GAVV and stuff. I just really want to know what Neeliv is going to say to all of this, because obviously he's going to show him. He has to show Neeliv what he's doing, you know. But man, other than that, this episode was dope. It was some heat. I love this episode. I'm not that big of a fan of Kamen Rider Bake. I don't know, it's just the colors. I don't really like the colors. The henshin device is dope. I love the henshin device. You know, it feels very dinosaur-esque with the way it looks. It feels very dinosaur-esque, and you know, dinosaurs are awesome. I love dinosaurs. But the suit overall, I don't know. It's just the colors. It's the colors of it, and he just looks like another version of Bitter GAVV, which makes sense. He created Bitter GAVV. But other than that, I'm just not that big of a fan of the suit. That's all I'm gonna say. But other than that, you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about this episode of Kamen Rider GAVV. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you guys next time. And remember, stay henshined.